Confidence, capability, and capacity are three areas that we have to absolutely nail for high performance. We're always looking at how do we get that edge? Where is that optimal performance level going to be? Sarah and I truly believe that if we focus and we get it right, when we look at confidence, capability, and capacity, things will happen. As leaders, we need to be committed. We need to be spotlighting both our own growth and also those around us within our teams. The key thing being is it has to be deliberate. It can't just be BAU all of the time, because quite often we're under so much pressure. People say we don't have time to develop. We don't have time to focus on training. We get that every day. Every person needs to really include at least 15 minutes into every day around how do they actually get that extra 1% out of themselves, and in addition, more structured learning as well. Sarah and I are really excited about this 4-part series. This 4-part series is all about optimal growth. It's not about blowing your budget. It's about making sure that we're really targeted to make sure that we include learning and development as just part of our everyday without blowing budgets, and making sure we increase that ROI. We're not actually wasting anybody's time. Sarah and I are really passionate about the 5-step process that we apply to optimal learning. They are defining upfront, being very clear on what you want. Second one is selecting appropriate learning. Third one is actually do the learning. The next one is the application, the implementation, and finishing off with reflect. We really hope you enjoy this episode and the following 3 that support our 4-part series.
Of course, like anything we do in our jobs, we can't do them really effectively unless we've got some tools to support us. And that's different when we look at what we're doing with learning and development with our people and our businesses. So we need to make sure that we've got the right tools to support us so that, like what Kirsten's just spoken about, the learning's really targeted and it doesn't cost a fortune, but we make sure that what we are spending, whether it's time or money, because both are just as valuable as each other, we're actually getting that ROI that's really important for the businesses, but we're also getting the ROI for the people. So we're making sure that learning is right for them and they're actually feeling like they're getting the growth that they need, and that's going to help you with your retention as well. The first piece I'm going to tackle is around a capability matrix. If there's anything you do in your business where if you're not doing anything, it's just to do this capability matrix. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can just be a one-pager, and it gives you that really lovely overview of the skills and capabilities you need for the roles. If you don't have anything in your business at the moment, just start with your senior team. What are the skills and competencies that you need for people to be really effective in those roles? Then you can take it down to an individual level and do an assessment with those people. And in fact, I've just been working with a client and they've just gone through and done all of their performance reviews. A lot of those senior managers have come back and we've got a really lovely set of competencies and capabilities that we're working on with that team at the moment. We're chunking them down so that they're in nice manageable bites over the next 12 to 18 months so that the business is getting what they need in terms of that growth from their managers, but the people equally are getting that growth that they need so they're feeling satisfied and effective in their roles as well. Now, for larger organisations, you may well already have that capability matrix in place, in which case you can take things a step further and look at that training needs analysis, and that really hones in required very much at an individual level. And some businesses just don't need a training needs analysis, and that's actually okay. The important thing is to make sure the tools that you're using for learning and development support the need for the business as well as the people. The great thing about a training needs analysis is it stops that one-size-fits-all approach where we say, go and do a dealing with difficult customers course, because that might not actually be what the best learning could be for somebody, for example, in a customer services team. My practical tip for you this week, take that step back and again, start with just your senior managers if that's the easiest place for you to start, but do that capability matrix. Just define exactly what skills and competencies you need for people in their roles so that they can be really effective. And if you do have a larger organisation, maybe just reviewing what you've already got in place, because our environment's changed quite considerably in the last 12 months, and just making sure that what you had in place is still fit for purpose given our changed environment.
One thing with learning and development that I think we fall into the trap of so regularly is we actually do the paintbrush approach. Sarah just touched on it, and it's where we identify these are the skills required for the role. So if we're not performing in a particular area, let's put everyone on this course. That is probably one of the worst things you can ever do from a culture perspective. from an engagement perspective and definitely from a learning perspective. So when you are taking the capability matrix that Sarah just spoke about and that TNA, an easy way of doing that is look at that capability matrix, overlay every single person that's within that team and traffic light it. Are they green? Is it that they're good to go, they're running? Is it they need a little bit of training in that particular skill? Is it that they actually have got no level of skill in that area and they need a lot of work? Then develop a personalised learning plan. We'd encourage you, if you haven't ever watched our series on Future Forward Conversations, please do that, because one of the key areas Sarah and I talk about there is making sure we have individual development plans for every single person within your organisation. It doesn't matter what size your business is, every person needs a development plan to be able to focus on that growth and to be able to make sure that they're always continually learning and getting better and lifting that performance. The first point that I really wanted to lock in today was making sure that you personalise your training. Please don't do that paintbrush approach. It really doesn't pay off in the long term. It may look good because you tick a box, but it definitely won't give you the ROI that I know that you'll be wanting. Only put people in the training that they need. Then if you look at any great sports team, any elite or performing sports team, they're easy to pick on, right? And so you look at them and they're not going to put a player in an area where they're not highly capable. They definitely will be focusing on developing the strengths of a player where there's that innate ability, passion, and commitment to really want to do well in that position. Please apply that same sort of logic to business and into your team. So often what happens if we are doing a capability matrix like I've just mentioned is we end up focusing on people's weaknesses. But what I want to do is, even though I've just talked about that, I actually want you now just to disrupt that a little bit, and I want you to think, when you are looking at people's development plans, how do we actually elevate their growth in the areas of strength? What that does is it makes them shine at what they're good at. It makes them shine at what they're passionate about. And so then you're going to get high performance because people are committed to following through. They're clear on purpose, they're clear on passion, and you're focusing on the right area. And then you may need to backfill those weaknesses. Please make sure you disrupt that model as much as you focus on it. And the third part that I really want to focus on is please make sure it's a repeatable process. Make sure that you've locked in place a system and a process, whatever you do in regard to defining what learning you have in your organisation, so that you can actually replicate it. The last thing that I really want you to focus on is have a look at the learning that you've got currently in place. Are you putting on people on courses or getting them to learn something as a paintbrush, or is it personalised? The last thing I just want to leave you with is attitude versus capability. Please, if they've got an attitude issue, do not put them on capability-based training. Deal with the attitude first and then go in with your capability.
We hope you've enjoyed our opening for this series, and we look forward to bringing you more shortly.